Howdy, guys. It's Aaron Farmer with mysugarfreejourney.com. And let us look today at what is new in the world of nutrition. So, I found this first story that we're going to talk about to be fascinating. This is something that I've actually never thought of, but makes a bit of sense. So, this is from so the first part of this is from a user called Uncle Doomer on Twitter. And he says, for years, I've been puzzled by the uniquely American obsession with disgusting, bitter IPA beer. But I finally figured it out. Bitter taste receptors are affected by serotonin in the brain. The American IPA craze is literally caused by the proliferation of SSRI antidepressants. And he's got a link to a study that was done that shows that if you are on an SSRI, you are more likely to enjoy bitter tasting foods. I guess maybe the bitter foods don't, it doesn't taste as bitter if you're on an SSRI. It kind of reminded me of during COVID when I got COVID. I think this was January of 21, February of 21. I mean, it didn't do anything for me. I think I spent a day in bed, but what left for like a week was I couldn't taste anything, couldn't smell anything. It was really annoying, and I went and bought like a 10-pack of tacos, just the hottest, spiciest tacos that I could get from the taco place down the road, and just tried to put all the usually I don't get like the hottest salsa. I'll get the green salsa. I'll leave the red stuff alone, or I'll leave the peppers off. But I was just trying to get the hottest stuff just to see if it would jumpstart my my taste buds so I could taste something again, and it didn't work. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. I just had to wait a week. After a week, everything came back. It was no big deal. So, but the story continues with Uncle Doomer. So Uncle Doomer said that. So if you're on an SSRI, you prefer or you can tolerate more bitter tasting foods and drinks. So that's why these bitter IPA beers are so popular in America. So somebody went and did a look at the people that are using the craft beer subreddit on Reddit to see if there was any correlation here. So Reddit Lies posted, Doomer might be onto something. You can go check out his post. He's got the math, but he says Doomer might be onto something. Our craft beer users, so these are the people that use the craft beer subreddit, are almost 10 times more likely to post in the SSRI's subreddit than the average Redditor. So if you're if you're posting in the if you're a Redditor and you're posting in the craft beer subreddit, you're 10 times more likely to post in the SSRI subreddit than the average Redditor. So there might be something to this. There might be something to this that if you are listening, if you're taking an SSRI for your depression, that might be a reason why you're really into a craft beer, which is ironic because alcohol is a depressant. So if you're taking an SSRI for your depression and then you're chasing that down with a big old craft beer, you're probably only making it worse, and you're probably just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And your depression is getting worse and worse and worse, but that's okay because we'll get you another pill. I mean, that's the point of all this, right? Just to get you after pill on pill after pill after pill after pill and make you more and more depressed, more and more sad. So please keep drinking your craft beer. Just keep taking your pills because that's what you're good for. That's the only thing you're good for, just eating pills, taking pills, because that's all our pharmaceutical companies want from us. They're just trying to take money out of our pocket so they can put pills down our throat. This next clip might have something to do with with why you're so depressed. This is from Found My Fitness. It says supplementing with vitamin D could cut your risk of dementia by nearly half. And so I'll tell you a story here in a minute, but that was a really big deal. You know, when we again going through COVID, I've actually two stories I've had to mention COVID, but going through COVID, it was determined really, really fast. And I'm talking, so the shutdowns were like in March of 20. I'm talking in April or May of 20. There was this giant study that came out that showed that the people who did worse with COVID had the lowest level of vitamin D. And so here's another study. It says that if you're taking that if you are your risk of dementia rather can be cut in half if your vitamin D levels are adequate. A study of more than 12,000 older adults, those who supplemented with vitamin D, were 40% less likely to develop dementia over the following decade. And I'll tell you about something else you can take to help with dementia here in just a minute. But so if you supplement with vitamin D, you're 40% less likely to develop dementia, according to the study. And after just 5 years, 84% of vitamin D users remain dementia-free, compared to only 68% of non-users. So that's a big delta. 84% of vitamin D users remain dementia-free, 68% of non-users. So, you know, if you are afraid of dementia, if there's one thing that you can do to go from a 68% chance of not, you know, of or what? Let's go the other way. It has to be 32. A 32% chance of developing dementia versus a 16% chance of developing dementia. All you have to do is take vitamin D. Wouldn't you take that? I mean, wouldn't you take that? And I really do think that vitamin D is a crucial vitamin. I think it's the reason why a lot of us are so sick is because we're not spending enough time in the sun. You know, the sun hits our skin, and the body uses cholesterol to. It actually uses up cholesterol to form vitamin D, and that's why typically your cholesterol levels go down in the summer and up in the winter. But you know, a lot of the issues, a lot of chronic diseases, a lot of bone brittleness, that kind of thing. A lot of that stuff can be tracked down just having, you know, low vitamin D. And obviously, vitamin D is helpful for your mind as well. If taking vitamin D can reduce your risk of getting dementia. So, I mean, take a good vitamin D. I tell you, so there's four vitamins that are fat soluble: A, D, E, and K. So if you're going to take a good D, it needs to be in a fat. Typically, most of the fat that people will put in the vitamin Ds is like a seed oil or something like that, because it's cheaper. The only vitamin D that I've ever seen that uses a non-seed oil is Vinnie Tortorich's vitamin D. What's that? Pure Vitamin Club. So purevitaminclub.com. If you buy your D from them, you get it. They package it in olive oil, not in a seed oil, which again is incredibly rare. In fact, as far as I know, it's the only. I've never seen another vitamin D that doesn't pack their vitamin D in a seed oil. Usually, it's like flaxseed oil or something like that. So if you want to supplement for vitamin D, I don't make anything from Pure Vitamin Club. I just tell that to you because it's helpful. But if you want to make some money, make some money. I don't make any money. If you want to take a good vitamin D, and again, the only vitamin D that I've ever seen that doesn't use it, that doesn't put it in a seed oil, that would be Pure Vitamin Club, which I believe is still at purevitaminclub.com. If it's not, just Google Vinnie Tortorich's vitamins. I mean, I would assume it would be something like that. Hold on just a second. Let me pull up the live here in case somebody says something. I can see it. I always forget to do this, and then people comment and I don't see it. So the other thing, yeah. So the other thing that was shown to help with Alzheimer's was creatine. So this is from Max Lugavere. The first trial of creatine in Alzheimer's disease was just published, and the results are big. Um, this is from Max. Patients took 20 grams of creatine monohydrate daily for 8 weeks. Brain creatine levels rose 11%, and cognition significantly improved across multiple domains, including memory, reading, and attention. Nearly every participant stuck with the protocol, no drugs, no major side effects. Um, he does say caveat, it was a small single arm pilot study with no placebo group, so results must be interpreted cautiously. But so they do these smaller studies just to to make as like a pilot to see if maybe they need to do a bigger um, a bigger study later. But that's incredibly encouraging. I would hope that it would. I would hope that we could look more into this. So we've already seen that vitamin D helps with mental acuity, and now creatine helps with mental acuity. I mean, those are two really cheap, and I've taken creatine for several years now. Creatine is a fantastic supplement. It's dirt cheap. It's easy to get your hands on. You can order it from Amazon for next to nothing. You can get probably a 90-day supply for, I don't know, $20 maybe. And in fact, let me look that up. I'll tell you what, I'll show you what. I don't know if I can show you, but the one that I use is pretty cheap. But and I just take 5 grams a day, which the one that I have is the yeah, here it is. Optimum Nutrition micronized creatine monohydrate powder. Um, oh, except I take it. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I do it in the pills. Is that what this is? Yeah, there it is. So $25 for 120 servings. Um, if that's yeah, so that's actually 2 months worth. Um, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if because it's 2.5 a servings. Yeah, servings 2.5 grams. I take 5 grams a day, so I think that's 2 months worth for $25. So like it's pretty cheap, and creatine's fantastic. Well, what you take it for is so that you don't lose muscle. So as you age, your muscles, you lose about 1% of your muscle mass per year as you age, and creatine slows down that process. Or if you are into muscle building, you're doing any kind of weight training, you I don't think it'll help you put on muscle faster. It just you'll lose muscle slower because if you're doing like bench press, you're working out your pecs, you'll tear your pecs apart as you're benching, and then the process of the body healing, that is what grows the muscle and makes it bigger and makes it more capable. And then after just a very short time, the muscle starts to go back down. That's why you have to weight lift 3 or 4 times a week in order to keep the muscles growing, keep that process of giving the muscle the stimulus that it needs to adapt to. And creatine helps that process. It helps the body grow that muscle, and it also keeps it from disappearing as fast. And that's the big thing. Once if you ever, for whatever reason, you stop working out or whatever, a lot of the gains that you make from exercise goes away real fast. They did a study one time where they worked out I think they were all 60-something-year-old people. They worked them out, put as much muscle as they could in 6 months, I believe it was. And so quite a bit of added muscle. They were on this rigorous, exercise program, and then they simulated an accident where they put them on bed rest. They were on total bed rest for 2 weeks. That's all it was, 2 weeks. They couldn't do anything for 2 weeks. And every bit of the muscle that it took them 6 months to put on through the exercise program was gone by the end of the 2 weeks. That's not good. And that's how fast it can disappear on you. You have to think of the muscle in your body as a savings account. So you put on muscle, and then if in the future something happens, like you end up in a hospital reason. That's what your body's going to draw from, and you're going to lose some of that muscle, but you're going to be able to hopefully get out of the hospital bed and go on about your way. I have a son-in-law who had diabetes and lost about half his foot from diabetes. I mean, it was terrible, terrible, terrible. And he, um, in the process of healing from that, because he got a staph infection, they had to keep taking pieces of his foot away because they were trying to give him, like, if you imagine, you got your foot like this, you got your big toe here, this is your big toe, and then you got your four things. First they just took like the toes off, and there was a staph infection, so now they took it down a little bit farther, so he still had his big toe, but now it's like this. So now his foot looks like this. And then they kept having to take the toe farther, take the foot farther and farther back. But they did their best to keep that big toe so that he could stabilize. And it was a mess. It was a terrible thing. He came very, very close to dying, much closer than I think really any of us like to admit. And he lost every bit of muscle that he had on his body. He looked like a stick figure with a head. He looked like a head on top of a stick figure. I mean, it was stunning to see how quickly the muscle in his body just disappeared. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't grow. Couldn't do anything. But that's why it's anyway. I got off track there. That's why it's important to keep muscle on, and that's what creatine does. Is it keeps the muscle in your body for your risk of getting Alzheimer's. Fantastic. I mean, Alzheimer's is one of those diseases that's absolutely terrifying to me. I don't ever want to. I don't ever want to get it. I don't ever. I mean, I'd rather lose my foot like my son-in-law, or lose an arm or something, than lose my mind. I don't want to. I don't want to lose my mind. Although maybe that's not too bad. We just had a guy who could run the country for 4 years while he lost his mind. So maybe it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. I just started Original Sin today. That's the book that Jake Tapper wrote about about Biden basically losing his mind. Interesting book. Interesting book. I would recommend that you check it out if you get a chance, because we were lied to. And there's lots of little things in this book, like I'll just tell you one. It just tickled me to no end. So Hunter has, he's written this book about his problems with drugs, and he's going to go on the speaking circuit and tell people about the book. And his idea is he's going to go into black churches and talk about his crack addiction in black churches, because he figured they would be able to empathize with his crack addiction. and I'm cooler heads, I think, finally got a hold of him and said, no, you can't do that. But goodness gracious, I wish they would have let him do it at least once. That would have been a funny, that would have been something interesting to see, and have somebody ask, what made you think of black churches to go in and talk about your crack problem. Interesting. All right, let's do one more, and then I'm going to get out of here. Actually, there was something that I wanted to talk about. This doesn't have anything to do with health, so if you want to talk about health, then we've done that for 20 minutes. But this is something that I was really disturbed to see. This is new. Um, if you don't follow Mike Schellenberger, investigative journalist, he wrote 2 or 3 books that I really enjoyed. San Francisco, where he kind of broke down what was wrong with San Francisco, and then the one he did on climate change, Apocalypse Never, I think is the name. I forget the book, but excellent books. But he had a new post the other day that said that, and here we're going to talk about COVID again. We keep coming back to that. That the Biden administration labeled opponents of COVID mandates as domestic violent extremists. So if you had an issue with the COVID mandates during the Biden administration, and if you were vocal about that issue during maybe online or whatever, there's a chance that the Biden administration called you a domestic violent extremist behind the scenes. And they did that. So once they label you as a domestic violent extremist, DVE for short, then if you said something that they didn't like, they could go to, they could go over to your, what do you call it? They could go over to the social media company and say, we've decided this guy is a domestic violent extremist. Are you sure that you want to host his? Are you sure that you want to host little, his little, witticisms or whatever on social media? You sure that's something you want to do? So let me read this to you because I really thought that this was fantastic. And so I'm getting this from Catherine Herridge, which is another another domestic terrorist, another investigative journalist. The Biden administration labeled Americans who oppose the COVID-19 vaccination and mask mandates, the mask mandates that no one proved that a mask actually worked or did anything. But if you oppose the mask mandate, you are a domestic violent extremist, according to Biden, or DVE, according to newly declassified intelligence reports obtained by public Mike Schellenberger, Galaxy Brain, and Catherine Herridge reports. I don't know who this Galaxy Brain is. I guess I probably need to click on that and follow him. Looks like, Alec Gutentag. Oh, I do know who he is. The designation created an articulable purpose for FBI or other government agencies to open an assessment of individuals, which is often the first step towards a formal investigation. A former FBI agent. Report, which the director of characterized COVID-19 vaccination and mask as evidence of government overreach. The report states, have resonated with DVEs motivated by QAnon. Motivated by QAnon. Not motivated by the fact that we just saw all of our freedoms get thrown out the window. We were motivated by QAnon. Unbelievable. I'll continue reading this in a moment, but we dodged a bullet. I know Trump has his problems, and he's going to do 10 things, maybe today, that I'm just going to shake my head and go, oh, my goodness. But, man, Biden was a problem because Biden thought nothing of taking away our First Amendment rights. Terrorists, or was it? What was the DVE? Domestic violent extremist. Goodness gracious. All right, let's continue on. The FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center co-authored the December 13th, 2021 intelligence product, whose title reads, DVEs and foreign analogs may react violently to COVID-19 mitigation mandate relating to violent extremism. These narrative COVID-19 vaccinations are unsafe, especially for children. Might be interesting to point out that RFK has recently come out and said that we don't need to give COVID-19 vaccines to children, which puts us more in line with the policies of other countries. So the people who thought that the COVID vaccine wasn't safe for children were right. So, include the belief that COVID-19 vaccines are unsafe, especially for children, are part of a government or global conspiracy to deprive individuals of their civil liberties and livelihoods, or are designed to start a new social or political order. They 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 actually did that. They did deprive individuals of their civil liberties. We couldn't go to church for months. I mean, oh, Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty. It's a way they could go to social media companies. Don't want to propagate domestic terrorism, so you should take down this content, said former FBI agent Steve Friend. Premium content and analysis. We got what do you call it? The nutrition train for a little bit, but it's mostly nutrition that I'm fascinated with. But we're kind of in a time now where it's really amazing to see the work that RFK and the Trump administration are doing to make things a little better for us, to make us healthier. And again, I hope it works out. I hope Trump continues doing what he's doing, and I hope at the end of this we're all healthier. Anyway, thank you guys very much for listening. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll talk